Well, I'm Lee.
And I'm Joe, and we are the Rewinders, queuing up movies that we used to watch as kids, watching them now as adults, seeing if they hold up. This week, The Dark Crystal.
1982, Dark Crystal.
34 years old
So that's going to give you an idea what...
movie.
Yeah. Well, we're old, and so now everything's nostalgia now, and Hollywood wants to give us Jim Henson. Big deal. So, growing up, he did everything. He was... Muppet... All the Muppet movies, Fraggle Rock,
The TV show.
Muppet Babies.
Really? Was he involved with Muppet Babies at all, or...?
I don't know. He made the Muppets. He made the Muppets. So, okay, what did you think of The Dark Crystal then when you were a kid?
Then...
What's the first thing that you...
The first thing that I would say that my impression of it as a youngin' watching it was kind of scary, but it was safe scary.
That's what I would remember too. Before I watched it recently, I got the movie, was about to watch it, and realized what do I remember about this movie? I don't remember the plot really, but I remember it being scary, but not too bad, but just weird. I just remember weird would be the best way to describe it.
Yeah, being an adult and trying to describe it would be weird.
Should we try to describe the plot, or more of our feelings as kids of what it was, or trying to remember what
our impression of the story, if we can remember that as much as we can.
Let's see. Yeah, what memories did we have?
One of my big memories was the lady puppet. Her name is...
Look in your notes.
My notes, because I wanted to sound like I had myself together.
Yeah, I remember her only having one eye.
Yep.
And being grouchy and horns, and that's it.
Ulgra.
Okay.
Yeah, and to me was the scariest thing of the Skeksis were not as scary as she was to me.
What scared me the most was in the scene of and that's a problem with the movie, and we'll get to that, is I don't remember any of their names except for Jen, who was the male hero. But the scariest scene was the little slave creatures when they were getting drained of their life force. That I remember being, that's not... They look so pathetic, the way that they were designed by Jim Henson and Brian Froud.
Yeah.
He designed all the goblins and stuff like that. That's what I remember. Just, I don't know what's going on, but those sad little things are getting their lives drained out.
Yeah.
And then as an adult, I really don't know what's going on. But we're in a weird world where they put a lot of great effort and time into making awesome costumes and detail to everything, but not really a story. Like, what's happening right now? What am I supposed to be?
But I mean, it was served up to you as a kid so simply that it didn't matter what was going on, and it keeps reiterating things to you along the way, so it kind of helps you focus on what little story there is there. So a kid who maybe, breaking away is always told, okay, this is happening. Now this is going to happen.
That's
now
true.
This
I didn't think about it that way. That's really true.
It's annoying as an adult.
Maybe that's why it annoyed me as an adult. And as a kid, I didn't really think about it. Yeah, it didn't matter that I'd understand the plot this is kind of interesting and cool and different and scary. Okay, was Jen naked in the very beginning?
Yes.
That was upsetting.
Jen was naked.
That was upsetting.
As an adult or as a child?
I don't remember that as a child. I don't remember that as a child, but as an adult, here's your introduction of a garden scene and your main character, Jen.
But in that world, in that time, in that place, what he's doing, it makes sense.
He's a fairy elf type character, so I understand that, but he couldn't put some pants on for me. Now, did he have abs?
No, if I remember correctly, he was very smooth, tubes.
I think he was even glistening. Yes, he was all tubes.
Because he was wet, because he just was bathing.
Don't talk about it. Okay, let's get past that. All right, well, should we talk about the plot, I guess? Before I interrupted you?
Oh, man. I mean, we'll be done with a plot analysis in the matter of a few sentences.
Okay, yeah, do a plot. So
All right.
if no one knows what we're talking about.
Okay, so the plot of this movie is there's a world, and there's these beings that, even though they were basically like all powerful, said, eh. And they screwed it up.
Okay.
So every 1,000 years it happens. The three suns line up. They look like an eyeball, and it's never really explained why
nothing's
or how.
explained.
So then there's a group of people. They're not people. They are the elflings.
Gelflings. All you have to do is add a G in front of elves, and then you're good.
Same thing, though, basically. And they have a
prophecy.
Yes, there's a prophecy somehow that starts up within their culture saying that
Somehow.
in the next cycle of 1,000 years, the Gelflings will be the one to make everything better. Just tossing you into the fact that there's this Gelfling on a hero's quest.
Save the crystal. And all I could think of was the Crystal Method song.
And that's the very first note I made.
Yep.
From their album Vegas,
Yep.
the opening track,
Trip Like I Do.
the monologue from the beginning of the
From the very
movie is
beginning.
kind of chopped up, but it's
It's made
in
shorter,
there.
but yeah, the monologue at the very beginning telling you all this information.
You have to go on your quest. Your quest
Yep.
is complete.
Yep.
That's all the story
And
is.
no, there's no character development, and nothing else happened. Just, oh, you did it, great.
Yeah, and no one learns a lesson.
There was no lessons. Yep, there was no
No
sacrifice.
No one dynamically changes their personality or
Not at all.
attitude to anything.
But a lot of it is now as an adult seeing, like as a kid, like that's freaky looking, that's weird.
The attack scene between the Landstriders and the
Yes.
crab things,
Yes.
that was probably the like moment as a kid of being like, oh no, these nice things that
Yeah,
the
they're
horse
helping out.
type things are are being murdered. One gets thrown off a cliff, and the other one just gets
Mauled and
Yeah.
yeah, your imagination takes over because it doesn't show you. I mean, yeah, there's no gore or anything like
No.
that at all, but definitely screeching sounds and things like that. That yeah, help the imagination. But that's the thing for the '80s.
Yeah.
They didn't care. Like, oh no, this is what happens.
There is a lot of murder in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of murder,
And they even
that,
use the word murder like right out of the gates.
like that doesn't happen now for kids movies. Now it's nope. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Everything will be safe. No. You're
Yeah,
going
there's-
up against evil things that are going to kill you.
Yeah, they didn't pull any punches when it came to death in this movie.
I don't know how long the movie was, but it felt like maybe a little too long.
I don't know. I didn't look at how long it was.
That's just my
to be
opinion.
honest.
Okay, but good things about the movie.
Good things.
Good things about the movie. Obviously, the character design of
Yes.
of almost everything.
Out of all the characters, the Olgra character had the most detail. When she breathed, her
Yeah.
face moved. She moved her nose, her eyeball.
Yeah,
her
her
one
one eye-
eyeball was moved very well. There were some details I could have gone without, but whatever.
And yeah, I think that's what it was. Sometimes too much with the bad vulture guys. Yeah, when they're sucking or getting the essence from the slaves, the putting like so their skin and bone kind of looking, they get a little more flesh added to them around their cheeks and their hands. All that looked great, and then, but you're right. Yeah, maybe less would have been better to see things, but having to knowing that there's a person in there's a person in the costume. You
Not
have
all the time, though.
animatronics.
It was
because it went back and forth.
Yeah,
though.
they changed.
They
it
went back and forth,
forth.
from animatronics to a person in a costume running around with a head on, going back and forth. But just all the technical stuff they had to do.
And one thing that I wrote down too was that in these huge set pieces, they got to explore the space, and it didn't feel like when you watch like a Sesame Street episode where it's a very
Yeah.
2D interaction.
You
with
know
these
that
puppets.
too. That they're just in one spot.
Whereas here, the puppets get to explore much vaster areas in the frame, and on top of it, for the most part, the puppeteers gave the puppets weight.
Yeah.
And there were times that they didn't, but the times that they
It's-
did, great. I mean, there was a lot of really good puppetry being done in that
It's
movie.
just amazing. Technical level, what they had to do and contort a certain way to move everything in a set, and now seeing behind the scenes of just like Sesame Street and the Muppet Show, and how there would be the puppeteers would be laying almost on top of each other and looking at one monitor. Says, yeah, one person moves the hand, one person moves the arm. Mm-hmm. Just all that before. I'm sure they had some remote control stuff, but just amazing. So, would you recommend this movie?
I think it's a hard recommendation, to be honest.
Because it really has a lot of baggage, having it. You had to watch it as a kid to have fond memories of it.
My vision of this movie is heavily biased because I watched it as a kid and I watched it many times and then purchased the DVD in '99, and I don't know how many times I've watched it. Not much recently, but I've kept it. So
okay,
I'm biased because this is one of my childhood favorites. And I can honestly see it and go, people who did not grow up with this, people who were born, not before or during the 80s and possibly the 90s.
So you say that's a not recommend for you if you didn't have nostalgia already?
I think it's hard to pitch it to a newer generation because they have computer graphics and all this other stuff, and when they see these laser beams coming out of these puppets' eyes, and when you see the Gelflings, which are a major character in the movie, and their face does nothing.
They have big eyes, and they can move just a little part of the end of their mouth, go murmur, and that's it. Yes, and that's the problem is you can't be too excited or interested in the main characters because they have no emotion to their faces, because they're just they look interesting, but they can't. The technology wasn't there.
Yeah.
So for me, it's the opposite. I saw the movie maybe once when I was a child, and so when you said, "Oh, let's watch this one," it was, I don't remember almost anything about the movie except being creepy, and then watching it as an adult, and now I can appreciate all the work, and Jim Henson was amazing in it, and I've seen all his other stuff. This is the one that was just, as a kid, just really didn't grab me, and as an adult, nope, same thing, didn't grab me. So I would definitely not recommend it for just putting in a movie. But if you are interested in the technical aspect of it, how they made it, the art design, all that, it's fantastic.
If you have interest in puppetry
and fantasy,
yes, then
just watch it.
But if you're just going in cold and be like, "Hey kid, let's watch a movie.
Let's watch a fun movie." It's not really fun. It's just kind of there. It's slow at points, but
I can see why in the 80s you could pop this in and your kids or kid would be at least locked in.
Yep. Shut them up. All right. I think that's good.
All right. So if you want to contact us to give us some suggestions or just to say hello, you can reach us at therewinderspodcast@gmail.com. Or we're on Facebook.
Yep.